I think it's a new day in America. And we have leadership, President Trump, who's not afraid to mention God. I think it's spectacular that they're open to something other than the leftist ideology. And the fact that in a place that generally doesn't separate or doesn't celebrate Christianity, it's front and center.
To have this film premiered here on that kind of platform, I think is a big deal. I commend President Trump and Ambassador Rick Grinnell for what they're doing to make sure that there are many faith-based performances here at the Kennedy Center. And I'm here to support the Christian Broadcasting Network, which I think has made a superlative film.
The Kennedy Center is being run by the people of America, and it's how we respond to it and when we show up. And President Trump is watching, and that's a good thing.
And we're just really excited that President Trump is pushing for the Kennedy Center to be more broad in its reach and more family friendly.
I certainly think that the programming here before, there was good quality stuff, no question about that. But it did not embrace the full depth and breadth of our culture, of our society, or of the creative community. And I think that's what the Trump administration is trying to do. They're trying to open it up so that it fully reflects the full diversity and all the views and outlooks and every aspect of our culture.
This last year, there's been a lot of changes, and we're really glad to see those changes. I think the focus has really been changed to be more family-friendly and more broad-reaching, and I think that's what's really important. I wrote an article for the Washington Times, and I just basically said, thank you, President Trump, for addressing this, because there are families that are missing out on theatrical performances because they're afraid of what's going to be put on stage. They never know when there's going to be an agenda there.
In every generation, every decade, every platform and genre, God does raise up a standard. Now, the time right now for the revival generation at the Kennedy Center is just amazing. I came here many years ago to an opera, I think, and that was very memorable. But this one is topping it.
Audience members at the Kennedy Center's production of The Sound of Music told Fox News Digital the story serves as a reminder of timeless values. Sarah Portner, who grew up watching the film, which tells the story of Maria, a young woman of discerning religious life who leaves the convent to care for the 7 children of Captain von Trapp, told Fox News Digital in an interview she first heard about the show coming to the Kennedy Center in March and made sure to get tickets. My mom's the youngest of 6, and she grew up in Ireland in like a really, really tiny village. And her mom took each of her 6 kids to see the movie when it came out, Portner said. So that's kind of how it started. And then when my sister and I were old enough, we watched it together. So that's, I guess, how we kind of got introduced to it. Portner, who called the story a lifelong favorite, said it reflects values people today can still learn from. Resilience and just the power of family and unconditional love for other people, Portner said. And I think a lot of that sounds cliche, but that helps you persevere through a lot of life's trials and periods of suffering and everything. The Kennedy Center is hosting the production in Washington, D.C. from September 9 to October 5. Directed by 3-time Tony Award winner Jack O'Brien, the production features stage design recreating the Austrian countryside, the iconic staircase used in the So Long Farewell number in Captain von Trapp's home, and the Nonnberg Abbey, where the family hid in an effort to escape the Nazis. Katie Burnham, who attended the show with her sister, Caroline Burnham, told Fox News Digital in an interview that good lessons can be taken from hard times. Not to get too political, but I think we can learn a lot from that generation with the last 10 years, Burnham said. I feel like, with our generation kind of almost following similar footsteps of our grandparents and great-grandparents. So my grandparents were of that era, so that's very much like, it's interesting hearing their stories and their life stories. And now we're kind of the same age going through those years of difficult, tumultuous world politics. Caroline Burnham told Fox News Digital that even as a member of Gen Z, she appreciates classical stories like The Sound of Music. I feel like it does talk a lot about, community. Maria, while she's kicked out of the convent, they're doing it because it's her best, and then she's able to form a new community through the family. And then she goes into a home that's disjointed because they aren't connected with each other, and she's able to get them to that place. And I think that's a really important thing to remember. Burnham added that thinks members of her generation are nostalgic for the community and culture depicted in The Sound of Music. I think, at least for me, I feel like my friends and I were always talking about that, of how disconnected we are with phones and social media, and you never get to see anybody because everybody's working 3 jobs. And nobody can pay to go to the bars these days, Caroline Burnham said. And so I think it's nice to have a reminder, and maybe also live vicariously through a different time, she added. Not that that was a great time in Austria, but it's just nice to sort of escape into it. Ellen Wilson, who also grew up with The Sound of Music, told Fox News Digital she finds its values inspiring. My parents lived in Germany when I was in college, so I think the whole, them escaping from Austria and, the political part, I found that really interesting, Wilson said. And the loyalty to his country, and the loyalty to his family. Valerie Wheeler told Fox News Digital she was thrilled the Kennedy Center was staging a live performance of the timeless story. I think it's wonderful, Wheeler said. I think any time we can get a live performance, I love going to the National. I love coming to the Kennedy Center. I'm a retired teacher of over 35 years, and I was an English teacher. So I loved live performances. The Sound of Music began as a 1959 Broadway musical before it was adapted into the iconic 1965 film starring Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer. The film won 5 Academy Awards in 1966, including Best Sound, Best Music, and Best Picture. It grossed $158 million domestically and $286 million globally on a budget of $8 million, according to box office records.